Hey everyone. So the other day, Zoran Mamdani won the elections. I'm not astonished because just a few weeks ago, I had a stalwart feeling that he was going to win big time. And I would have been really astonished if Andrew Cuomo won the elections or the Republican nominee. I think his name is Silwa, something I forgot. But I would have been astonished if one of those two won the elections. But no, I'm not surprised by this, but a lot of people are. And we really have to talk about why that is the case. But of course, I would say that I would really like to say that, one of the most impactful things we need to learn right now is that we really suck at gaining a major female voting base. So, okay, let's just start off with reading this tweet. Can't get over all the Gen Z girls who preach women's rights, then vote for a guy who refuses to condemn Sharia law. Now, I guarantee you that majority of the women who voted for Mamdani knew anything about his controversial opinions. Okay, there were a lot of videos exposing Mamdani, but majority of them did not reach out to those specific type of women who had in mind Mamdani to vote for. So of course, plenty of them don't know his other stances, his controversial stances, because there were more positive promotions of the guy, and there were more memes of the guy than anything else. So obviously, it makes sense. It really makes sense that a lot of people checked him out. But anyways, let's read another tweet. The right, young women are moving left. Crazy. Wonder why that is. Young women in largely blue state vote like young women in a majority blue state. The right, all day on X. See, women are dumb. We should take away their right to vote. Proceed to ignore the 68% of men in the same demographic who voted for Mamdani as well. Huh, wonder why young women don't seem compelled to join the right. It is a mystery, wrapped in an enigma. Zora knows how to talk to liberal women. Trump terrifies them. The way most right wing men talk terrifies them. This is a preview of the 2026 midterms. The right can learn this lesson voluntarily now or involuntarily later. And this is something that is alarming, okay? When it comes to us really reaching out a major female base, of course we do have females on the right, but at the end of the day, to reach out a majority women voting base, or at least gain a large chunk of women to vote for anyone on the right, it's genuinely difficult. And even though we will never get a 50-50% balance, we really need to garner more females on the right. So of course, we really have to change stuff now, or else the midterms, yeah, it's really going to be completely just completely astonishing for some people. Let's just say that. And this reminds me of last year in my country when we had elections. We had provincial. Uh, we also had like voting for our, I think, city, and also presidential. All of these three, and in all three of my in my voting papers, I voted for the same party, and the party did not come close. In fact, I think they did not have like really enough votes compared to years prior. But still, the fact of the matter was that that party I voted for did not campaign everywhere else. They could have really done a really, just really good campaign. They could have ran such a good campaign if they really promoted themselves everywhere to different demographics, because a lot of people would have agreed with them on certain issues. But of course, they didn't do that, and that's why they were lagging behind last year. But anyways, going back to this, let's start off with a tweet from Lila Rose. So I've listed down a bunch of points on how can we really grow the female voting base. And let me just say that it's all a bit jumbled up. So please bear with me, because I'm just writing based on what popped up in my mind as I was thinking about this. And I just came up with these bullet points right now, so it's not a proper script, okay? So starting off, Lila Rose says, if the right wants to win young women, step one, Don't tear them down. And this is what we need to start off with, because when it comes to tearing a lot of young women down, I think plenty on X do a good job doing that. And I remember, I think it was last year, there were these clips of these women. I think from an Australian company or something like that. They were just doing some cringe dances, and at first I thought they were cringy, but the more I saw it, the more I realized that okay, this is fine, right? This is fine. But then, looking back, I remember so many I would say mainstream right wingers were cringing at it. And okay, yes, it's cringe, but they were really, really like upset at these women for just, being silly. And that's the thing. It's like we have to start off and say that no, we shouldn't be tearing down these young women. Okay, it may be cringe what they're doing, but it's like we don't have to really ridicule them on every turn. And what really cemented this view for me that, you know, um, obviously a lot of people on X definitely tears down a lot of women, was the fact that I came across a video, I think it was this year, from Kristen Hawkins. And, you know, in this one, it was like an edit basically of describing her life. And in this one clip, she's having fun with a coworker, just, like acting silly with a coworker. And it's like, hey, this is just pretty much normal for women to, if they want to be silly, they can be silly. Okay. So yeah, obviously, uh, yeah, we should definitely be embracing the silliness of it. And the next point is embrace the fun, which ties into this first point. We should be embracing the fun. If a woman does something fun, amazing, fantastic, we should promote it and say, oh wow, that's cool, that's great, that's funny. And yeah, that's what we should be doing. The next point is of course, don't um, promote abortion. So I've noticed that last year, when Trump was campaigning, he was really trying his best to garner, more pro-choice women. And the problem with that is that already many of them aren't going to vote for Trump on abortion. Maybe many of them voted on the trans in women's sports topic, but let me just say that many of them still don't trust Trump on that issue. And here's the thing: Trump really let down a lot of pro-lifers by cozying up to a bunch of pro-choicers. So yeah, don't lose the pro-life debate in trying to gain a large female voter base. Don't do that. The best thing you can do is eventually showcase what abortion is to everyone. Have these videos out where you can see what an abortion is. Showcase it. Showcase a lot of the ex-abortionists telling their story. What we really need right now is that we need to have, and I've mentioned this in my previous video on culture, we need to have more pro-life stories and stuff like that. And we need to tell women that, killing children isn't the same as wanting a right to vote. Two different things. But anyways, we should also approach it in a very respectable manner. And yeah, anyways, the next point, um, of course, is aesthetics and embrace the memes. So this really ties into the first two points I've made. Embrace the memes. Have these cozy aesthetics. When it comes to memes, there are plenty of memes that a lot of young women use and promote all the time. And it's like, yeah, make those memes and don't make it in a cringy way, but I would say definitely just make it as a form of enjoyment. Embrace the memes and aesthetics, as in, you could have like the cozy girl aesthetics, or you can really go into the what do you call it? What is the thing called? I forgot. It's a thing. You have your specific kind of month, and they call it something. I forgot. I totally forgot about that. Whatever it's called, I forgot. But a lot of women are into it, so it's like, hey, why not promote that as well? Just talk about that, you know, and have fun with it. Really, just have fun with the aesthetics. Have fun with the memes. Embrace the memes. definitely embrace the memes. Anyways, let's move on to the next topic. The next one is more female influencers. Now, when I mean influencers, I'm not just meaning, YouTubers. I'm talking about all over social media. We need more women on the right as influencers. So, of course, one of the great examples of this, I would say, was Brett Cooper. Still is Brett Cooper, but even though she talks more about politics now, back when she was on the comment section, she was mostly speaking about cultural issues. And I like that so much. And when you read the comment section, the actual comments of the comment section, you would see that a lot of young girls were telling Brett, "Hey, I used to be pretty left leaning, and honestly, I didn't know certain stuff until I watched your videos." And it's like you can tell how impactful Brett was within a handful of years. Just imagine if you had plenty of women who mostly spoke about culture from the right-leaning perspective, because there are plenty of women right now who make video essays, and the problem with that is that majority of them are left-leaning, and they always kind of, not all the time, but plenty times, they do take whatever topic they're talking about and promote some kind of politics, whatever. But I feel like we need some proper female influencers who won't really do that, and just just more shows like the comment section. It doesn't have to come from the Daily Wire. Even though I am expecting them to drop more female influencers, it shouldn't come from them always. It can come from anyone. It can come from even independent folk. And I really hope that we get to see more women just talk about culture. And Candace Owens is pretty influential politically, and unfortunately, she is just so busy chasing phantoms that she told people not to vote, even though Charlie would have wanted plenty of people to go out and vote. But I'm just saying, it's like you just need more culture, like politics too. Definitely, there are plenty of women who are speaking on politics right now, which is great, but you need culture. You definitely need culture. More women to speak about it, to have these wonderful short form videos, and video essays. I would love more of that. We need more of that, please. The next point is promote working women. Now, here's the thing. Of course, there are plenty of women on the right who have a career, and obviously, many of them voted for Trump, many of them support Trump, and many of them obviously aren't really against the trad wife stuff. And here's the thing, you can have both. You can promote the trad wife stuff and at the same time not tear down working women, and vice versa. Of course, we need to have more, I would say, I don't like using the term, but representation of working class women. And we need to really show that. We need to talk about that, and at the same time, we should not be downplaying, the homemaker, the housewife, the trad wife. We shouldn't be, downplaying their roles. We should just be trying to kind of have this equalizer, really. And I think if we promote more working women, a lot of people will realize that, okay, the right is definitely focusing on women's issues. Okay, so anyways, um, the next one is going to be pretty interesting. It might be pretty long as well. The next one is, of course, gain independence. Now, let me just say that right now there's a civil war brewing in social media around around Nick Fuentes and those who don't like Nick Fuentes. But it's like, at the end of the day, plenty of people don't want to associate with Nick Fuentes. Not because he's just making edgy memes, no, but because of the fact that he is an open Nazi. That's the big difference. I understand a lot of people will be defensive, and they may think that Nick is being wrongfully accused of being a Nazi. No, the dude is openly a Nazi. Okay, is openly praising Stalin and Hitler, and it's like, okay, definitely definitely should not be mainstream, but obviously plenty of independents really like Trump. They really like a lot of the simple conservative stuff, right? They can get along with it. And I think that's what we should be focusing on. It's like gain the independence. There are plenty of women already who may be exhausted with the left, but they see people like Nick being promoted, then they feel like, okay, I don't want to associate with the right because these guys seem to be only focused on this Nick, by the way, who really hates women. I'm not talking about joking about hating women. I'm talking about he definitely hates women. That's the big difference. Nick is open about his hatred towards women, and that's the thing. It's like when it comes to gaining a female audience, sorry, female voter base. Oh my gosh, I'm mixing up my words. Female voter base. We shouldn't be promoting Nick as the future of conservatism and as Charlie Kirk's successor. In my previous video, I did point out that Nick is definitely the anti-Charlie Kirk. But anyways, uh, to gain a massive female voting base, we need to obviously just make sure that Nick is obviously not the head of the conservative movement moving forward. In fact, the dude praised Zoran Mamdani recently, so just saying, just saying. And also, I want to point out something. I showed you guys that Candace Owens tweet just now. Well, it has like 10,000 likes, but let me just say that next year it can be a different story. More people could somehow agree with her because of certain scenarios happening, and obviously she will explode in popularity. Nick Fuentes last year, by the way, abandoned Trump and he campaigned for Kamala. And then when Trump won, it was like, see guys, we did it, we won. And he was trying to really claim claim as if he helped MAGA win. No, he didn't. He was telling people not to support Trump. So it's like, a lot of people rightfully called him out on it, by the way. But that was just last year, November. 1 year, just 1 year ago, a lot of people ridiculed him, and now a lot of people are cozying up to this guy. And it's like you can see how 1 year can make a massive difference. You can see how 1 year is so vital, and that's the thing. It's like I wouldn't be astonished if next year Candace has even more support, and when she says don't vote, people will actually listen to her for once. And that's the thing. It's like it's pretty worrisome with that. So going back to the main point, if you want to really start off easy to gain the independent female voters, you have to just not include Nick. Okay. Of course, the next thing we have to do is ease our political language. Of course, when it comes to politics, at times, obviously, there are moments in which certain stuff will be said. I remember I think it was Trump who said something about crazy cat ladies, and it's like, okay, okay, I think that should not be mentioned. I feel like if you if we ease our political language at least and not just be antagonistic, I feel like we will definitely win more female voters. And obviously, Trump has to ease his voice up. I know he has been doing it recently. He's not as pompous as he was the first term, but guys, I feel like he has to really, really change things, with his language. But also, if he changes it, a lot of people will follow suit. Obviously, some people won't, but I feel like it starts off with him. And um, but maybe even like just I would say, like, even if you have like influencers with a million followers, maybe if they could really ease up the language, the political language, and not be so antagonistic when it comes to women on the opposite side, and demoralizing them, degrading them, sorry, then I feel like we'll have more female voters. The next one is pretty interesting. It really ties into my previous videos and culture. We need to have more female-centric shows, movies, video games, comic books. I'm not saying that we have to erase male characters, established male characters. No, absolutely not. I don't like that. but we should at least be creating these wonderful stories for a female audience. For example, video games. I don't like when they feminize the strong male protagonists. I don't like when they do that. I don't like when they take something that's for males and turn it into females. I don't like that. However, we should be focusing on create and on curating new content for a female audience. For example, films. We can make plenty of movies that stars a attractive female character, maybe a female character that's very relatable to a lot of women. We can really do that. Obviously, promote the arts, also promote the female artists. Maybe we can have more conventions about female arts. Of course, the next two topics really tie in together. First one is, of course, I think we're really winning, having garnered a lot of women voters who don't want trans women in women's spaces. And obviously we should not really lose control of that issue. And the next one is interesting. This one is not specifically about gaining female voters, but it's about protecting females in general. I'm sure you guys have noticed the numbers increasing amongst female to male transitioners or female to something transitioners. um, I've noticed it. When I was growing up, I could only come across a handful of female to males, but now that number is increasing. And there are plenty of women out there, plenty of young girls who feel various discomforts with their bodies, and it's become the norm really in many circles that obviously you should transition if you have an issue. You shouldn't look into any other problem with yourself, but you should transition. And regardless of whatever gender identity they want to identify as, at the end of the day, plenty of females are rejecting their own future, their own girlhood, womanhood. They're rejecting it, and as I really want to point out, there are various reasons for that. I would say that if we don't keep really having just a strong promotion of girlhood, womanhood, we are definitely going to see the rise of our future daughters trying to become anything else but women. You know what I'm saying? And look, I know that women are like some women, tiny group of women would end up transitioning one day. I know that, but the numbers are increasing, and that is alarming. It's genuinely alarming. And it's not only affecting the tomboys, it's not only affecting the masculine lesbians, it's even affecting a lot of the straight women. It's affecting a lot of the women who are not super feminine but not super masculine either. It's affecting a lot of women that even look like Sydney Sweeney. The point I'm trying to get across is that if we don't really promote, like, you could say, really strong, what's the word? Okay, I'm really lost for words, but if we don't promote positivity in girlhood and womanhood, we are going to lose. Okay, it's not even about the votes. We are just going to lose women in general, and that's the scary part. And I really want to say this. It's something really frightening that as the years have really continued, we have been losing this culture war. And of course, various things we've been losing, but one of the things we are losing the most right now are women. And not just in voting, but in the sense that we are just not really putting in all the efforts to protect them from just, I would say, a lot of ideas that they feel like they are correct on. Like, for example, if a bunch of women came out and said all of a sudden they are trans men, what would be your reaction? Obviously, you'll be wondering why that is. Imagine if you had like the most feminine woman out there come out and say she was a trans man. I've noticed that many of us will be obviously calling it out and saying it's cringe, but at the same time, it's like it's not going to help. We've done this before. It's not helping as much. And that's the thing. We really need to get to the bottom of this issue. And obviously, we are starting to by empowering detransitioners, having these conversations, but um, we need to do more. We need to do more culture wise, and eventually things can change. Because I remember last year, I'm sure you guys know that I posted about it. Emma Demont, she came out as a non-binary trans mask, and the screenshots that were surfacing on Twitter were basically pictures of her, and a lot of people did not go that far to check her Instagram and read that she changed her pronouns. Actually, she's not just calling herself they them. She actually changed it on her Instagram. She also, changed her profile picture, changed her name, and obviously, a new images that are on her Instagram is basically her not looking like how she used to. She states that, as a woman she was not allowed to wear shirts, and she felt she felt annoyed by putting on makeup, even though women can wear shirts and they don't have to put on makeup if they don't want to. You see what I'm saying? It's like she was a very feminine woman. For her to just all of a sudden come out as this, it's an issue. And I know a lot of people on the right definitely ridiculed her for this, but it's like we need to have a serious conversation about it, you know? Anyway, sorry, this video is getting way too long. Sorry, but hopefully this can really win the culture, change the culture positively, and also, the former points I listed could really help the right gain a strong female voting base. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.